Hi, my name is Rebecca Cohen, and I am the K-12 Visual Arts Instructor at USD 218 in Elkhart, Kansas. So I teach grades K through 4 at the elementary, and I get each grade once a week for about 25 to 40 minutes depending on that grade level, and I only get to see them for 9 weeks. So that's something I hope to change in the near future, because it's really hard to actually teach them much and then actually receive anything productive from it without it feeling like a glorified class period. I don't get 5th and 6th grade because of their reading rotation and whatever it is that they do at that level, but I do get 7th through 12th grade, and I love my junior high and high school kids. They're fun. They are so much fun. A little bit on the attitude, but I love them. They're awesome, and I miss them so much. Now, my story of how I came into the teaching profession isn't as inspirational and pretty as what some other people's are. My undergrad major, I got my Bachelor in Fine Arts, and I am a professional artist on the side of things. I do tattoos, and I do commission work, and I sell originals, and I sell prints. And that's decent, but it's not a steady income, and I wanted something steady and dependable, especially since I have 2 kids. So an art position opened up here in my hometown of Elkhart, Kansas, and I interviewed for it, and that's how I came into the T2T world. I will be starting my 2nd year in this, and hopefully graduating in the spring of next year. Now, as mentioned before, I am a mother of 2. I have my daughter. She's 5 years old. Her name is Adeline. She'll be starting kindergarten in the fall. And then my son, Lathan. He's in his terrible 2s, and it's such a great time. I almost forgot how much I love this age. But I'm also, again, professional artist. I do tattoos. I love plants so much, and I have a bad habit of adopting large farm animals to fill up my 20-some acres out here in Oklahoma. But it's fun. It's fun. So going back to the whole school teaching side of things, my biggest concern for next year is how we're actually going to proceed with things. I've heard bits and pieces of CDC guidelines and stuff with spacing students 6 feet apart, sanitizing everything, disinfecting, sneeze guards, this and that. My biggest concern is if we go back to regular teaching is how my tiny classroom is going to fit more than 7 kids each class period, especially with the grade school ages. I'm a little concerned about how that's going to play out. Now, my other thing too is I have classroom supplies. So my students pay, my 7th through 12th kids, my students pay a semesterly art fee, and that allows me the budget to provide in-class materials and supplies. And that's great, but that budget is not big enough for me to provide each and every student their own personal packet of supplies and materials, brushes, pencils, etc. So I just feel like disinfecting everything at the end of each class period is going to be a little interesting. Now, if we do go to remote learning, which personally I enjoyed last quarter, I loved it. It was a little bit getting used to, but overall my students handled it great. Remote learning, to me, I would prefer it, at least until COVID calms down and we can return to class as normal, because I miss my students like crazy, but I also want them to be safe. So the greatest thing about Elkhart is that it is a small community, but when we did start this COVID remote learning process last quarter, everyone in Elkhart came together. Even our local internet provider reached out to the 50-some homes we had that didn't have internet access, and they provided free services to those students. Our schools got together and provided laptops to those that needed it as well. So overall, I think we did great, and we had very few issues, but between the whole social distancing thing, if we go back to in-person learning versus virtually learning, and then how you handle grading and what else a student might be dealing with at home, I guess my biggest concern is that I don't know what to expect yet, and that's a little unsettling, but I know we'll get through it as a district and as the whole state of Kansas. So, thank you.